Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Teacher Talks session tonight. Tonight we are going to have our 51st session. Wow, it's a really great number for us. It's been, the 51st week. It's incredible for us, and also for me also. And tonight we are going to have another teachers from different parts of the world. This time our guest from England, and she is going to be with us, and she is a CELTA qualified English language teacher, Serena Dogan. Tonight is going to be our guest. When she comes, we are going to discuss our questions with her, and of course, if you have any questions to her, to ask for her, you can just write it down into the question part, and then we can ask her. Okay, there she is. So I don't want to waste time. Let me invite her, and we can start our lovely conversation with Serena. Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Serena. It's great to see you. It's good to see
Hello
you.
from London, everyone.
Welcome to Teacher Talk session tonight. And it's really great to have you here in our 51st session. And also, I would like to say thank you to accept my invitation to Teacher Talk, Serena.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm sure that it's going to be a very lovely session. And so I don't want to waste time, and I don't want to take your time. I know you are busy and everybody is busy. So if you're ready, we can start.
Yes, I'm absolutely ready for this.
Okay, great, Serena. So I know you, but maybe our listeners wants to know about you. So can you please tell us about yourself, Serena?
Yes, of course. So I was born and raised in London, but my parents are Turkish. So I'm actually bilingual. I'm a native speaker of Turkish and English.
Great.
At university, I studied English language and literature. And then when I was doing my master's at UCL, I decided to do a CELTA as well, and it just changed my whole life. I fell in love with teaching after my CELTA.
It's great. Wonderful. Thank you, Serena. So what about your experiences in teaching? Can you tell us about it for us?
Well, it's been 6 years now, and it's been quite a ride. So I'm fairly new, I'm fairly young in the industry, but it's been a very enjoyable journey because the more you teach, the more you learn. You're like a student yourself. And I learn something new every day as a teacher, especially with the pandemic. It's changed the whole methods that we use, the approach, everything's online now. So we're all trying to adapt to the new way of teaching.
I see.
And it's interesting, it's nice.
Great, yeah, you're right. The whole education system has changed, and we are just waiting for it to become normal again. Anyway, so my next question, Serena, is about your favorite moment. So what was your favorite moment or experience in your own education that you still remember and you can't forget?
It has to be getting a pass A in my CELTA course. Because I attended the 4-week intensive CELTA course, which is very, very intense. The CELTA course is one of the most challenging things, even more challenging than my master's degree, actually, because it was 4-week intensive. But when I got a pass A, and my tutor told me only 5% of UK candidates get a pass A, I was so proud of myself, and it was just really rewarding, actually.
Wow, it's wonderful. That's a pass A. It's really, as you said, it's really difficult to get pass A from CELTA. Yeah, it's wonderful.
But the hard work paid off, definitely.
That was your favorite moment that you have taken at the A from CELTA.
Yes,
sure.
Pass A was
it's a
I
great...
can never forget about it.
Yeah, of course. No one can forget about it. Great. So Okay, Serena, what about your current job? What can you tell us about it and what kind of things you are doing there in London?
Okay, so when the pandemic first started, of course, it really affected language schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to quit my job as a teacher at language schools, but I wanted to remain in the education sector.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very lucky to have found a job at an embassy. Some countries, they sponsor their students. They pay for their university fee. So I now work at an embassy and we have around 7,000 sponsored students in the UK.
Wow.
And I personally have 400 students that I take care of.
Wow.
So when they come to the UK and when they leave, throughout their whole university journey, I help them with everything.
Wow. Wonderful. I'm sure that you have lots of memories with that students. It's a great
It's
memory.
really
It's
nice,
wonderful.
yeah.
It's wonderful. So, thank you, Serena. So, what about Serena? As you know that you have just mentioned about the corona COVID-19 actually when it has started in March, I think it's first, yeah, around March, and the whole education system changed suddenly. If you know that from face-to-face to online system. So, what have been the challenges of switching to online teaching?
Okay, there have been many challenges, of course, but the main challenge for me was the interaction, the physical interaction,
Mm-hmm.
because it's very different when you're in a physical classroom and the eye contact, the body language. It's just the physical aspect of it is missing in online teaching,
Mm-hmm. I
basically.
see.
It's just the physical interaction that I really miss the most.
I see. Yeah, you are right. The physical interaction that we missed it about with the students, especially. It's a really important thing for us, for educators, for students also being in a
Of
classroom
course,
environment.
yeah,
Yeah.
technical issues is also another struggle. Technical, you can
Mm-hmm.
sometimes have internet connection issues.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are many technical issues you can face with online teaching, and this has been one of the struggles as well.
Mm-hmm. I see. I see. Okay. Thank you, Serena.
Yeah, you're
So,
very welcome.
what about my next question is about the students' anxiety and fear of grammar and making errors. How can students overcome this situation, like having an anxiety and fear of grammar and making errors? What are your suggestions about it?
Okay, first of all, this is completely normal
Mm-hmm.
because when I was at school, I had a mental block for mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, I can't do maths. I don't want to do maths. That's it. But my teacher helped me overcome my fear. He or she made me feel very comfortable, and especially humor. So humor really reduces anxiety. When you're a funny teacher, when you make jokes, when you make fun of yourself, the student really, you have a special bond with your student,
Mm-hmm.
and they can feel very relaxed that they're not going to be judged by the mistakes that they make. So basically, it's the student needs to feel like they're part of a learning community where no one is judging them. And
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So it's a teacher's job to make them feel comfortable. Of course, this is a journey.
Yeah.
The more you have communication with them, the more you teach them, they
Mm-hmm.
will feel more comfortable, they will feel more relaxed.
I see. Totally. Yeah, I agree about it. As you mentioned that it's an important job for us to make the students relaxed and comfortable in the during the learning period in the classroom. You are right. If they feel comfortable and relaxed and they learn better and they feel more relaxed and then they cope with that anxiety in the classroom and they
Yeah,
do lots of things. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and also, as you know, there's an error correction stage in each lesson.
Mm-hmm.
There's error correction stage. So before the error correction stage, I always find a positive thing that they said. So before I correct their errors, I always say, wow, that was very good use of language. Wow, I loved that. I loved the vocabulary that you used. So they feel very confident when you praise them. So it's always nice to compliment your students, to praise them with the good use of English before you go to the error correction stage.
I see.
To boost their confidence.
That's a good point that you mentioned about it. Of course, it's really good to make them, you know, they relax about before telling them the errors or mistakes, to tell them some positive sides, and after that to move to the negative sides to make them really relax, to listen or to hear their negative sides. It's a good point. Thank you, Serena.
Because they're so programmed for criticism. When you say to them, wow, that was a really good use of language, they always say to me, really? No, I can't speak English well. And I say to them, no, I'm a teacher and you're a good speaker of English. Please believe in yourself. And it just changes their whole confidence.
Great. And is that all?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And there's a question. If you see also, maybe you can see that. Azra asks, Dear Serena, how about grammatical awareness, teamwork, activities in the creative assessment, in the creative assessment way, in adult writing tasks in online class? Thank you so much. Have you got anything to say to this question? Any suggestions?
So, of course, the past year or so, I've been working at the embassy, and I only do private one-to-one. I don't really have big groups because I don't have time. But if I were to teach like a group and to think of a creative way of writing, I would make them keep a journal. And at the beginning of each lesson, they can like read the journals out to each other, what they wrote, what they did that week, or maybe about their future goals.
Yeah.
So basically, I would give assignments that are personal.
Yeah.
To the student. So write down your future goals and just read it out to each other.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Serena, for this suggestion. I think it's a good suggestion for Azra about her question. Thank you, Azra. Okay, so let's move to the next question, Serena, and it's about using L1 in the EFL and ESL classroom. As you know that, there are different ideas about using L1. Some of them support to use L1 in language EFL and ESL classes, but some against for this. They say, no, you shouldn't use L1 in EFL and ESL classrooms. And what about your ideas? Like, how much L1 should be used in EFL and ESL classrooms, and should we use or should we not? What is your idea?
Okay, this issue has been debatable and controversial in the ELT sector for a very long time. Some say just ignore L1, just pretend it doesn't exist, and just focus on English. Some say no, it should be used. But who is right or who is wrong? Okay, recent studies published shows that using L1 in L2 learning really helps the process, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
I read a paper from Cambridge University Press, and I'll share it below. It's very interesting because it says that despite the controversy, it's actually useful to use L1, and translation is not that bad actually. And when we encourage students, when we say to them, please try to think in English, forget about your L1, just pretend it doesn't exist, this is completely wrong, apparently, according to the studies. Apparently the student needs to mediate between L1 and L2.
By the way, I'm sorry, there's a question about it. So L1 is the mother tongue, your first language, yes, your first language, and the L2 is your second, the target language that you have learned.
Yes.
Yeah, you can continue, Serena.
Yeah, so as I said, like recent studies suggest that L1 and L2, you should mediate between them, and L1 should definitely be used. However, it's the teacher's role to manage this. So is it an ESL classroom or is it an EFL classroom? It's the teacher's role to manage how it's used. You can't be using 60% of the lesson L1, of course. You need to balance it out. But it's very interesting because before I used to say to my students, don't use Google Translate, use Cambridge English to English. But now with my lower levels, I encourage use of L1. It really helps them.
I agree. I agree. You are right.
And especially in Northland, when you think of false friends, false friends means words that sound very similar, but have completely different meanings.
Yes.
So, for example, let me think. So, Rente in German, Rente, means pension, but rent in English means rent. So it looks the same, and maybe a German speaker thinks, okay, Rente means rent, pension, but no. So they have to translate sometimes to understand the difference.
Yeah, you are right.
So sometimes translation is very important, actually.
Yeah, I agree in some part, as you mentioned that, but we have to balance it. Yani we have to decide how much they have to use. We cannot allow our students to use L1 the whole lesson. In maybe just some for words, for example, or maybe when they are working in groups, maybe you can allow them to speak in their mother tongues and just a couple words or sentences, something like that, as you mentioned. Thank you. Would you like to add more?
No, thank you.
Okay. And there is something Talai says, I was student of Serena. She helped me for learning English so that I'm doing my dream job. Thank you for everything, dear Serena. That's lovely.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Talai, yeah. It's great to see this.
I couldn't see the comment, actually. What was the name of the student?
And it says N Talai. N Talai.
Oh, okay, Nazem. Okay, hello, Nazem. He's now a flight attendant.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's a great one. It's
Thank you so much.
It's wonderful to see them here and to make a comment to you. And
yeah.
There is also another question here. Can you see the question? Dear Serena, you consider L1 as a medium or tool in our classes, such as in instruction level, they say.
Can I just see the question again? I can't see the questions. I'm so sorry. This is my first live session.
No, it's okay. Like, if you consider L1 as a medium or tool in our classes, such as in instruction level, when we give an instruction, something like this.
To be honest, I think L1 should be used in lower levels. A1, A2, newly intermediate students, and less with upper levels. So as I said, it depends on the environment, it depends on the students. Is it a multicultural class or is it a ESL classroom? Are you teaching in Turkey with just Turkish students? It just depends. And sometimes the teacher doesn't know the L1.
I see.
So the teacher can't use the L1 anyway. You'll tell the students when you go home, please check the meaning in your first language if you're still confused. It's just the teacher's choice, and it really depends on context. So I can't really give a very rigid answer for this. It's the teacher's choice.
I see.
They can judge the best. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Serena. And Nilgün makes comment here. EMI has been on debate for a while. I agree that L1 may be used in group works in a limited way, as you mentioned. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nilgün.
That's perfect. I'm so sorry. I can't read the comments, but it's fine.
It's okay. I read them, so it's okay, Serena. No problem. All right. And so my next question is about using authentic material. You know, from the teacher's points of view, like, we tend to consider the course book as the main, the component of the lesson, but we still add more like contents, like such as authentic articles, grammar handouts, and videos. Like, should we use more authentic materials or stick to the course book? What is your idea?
Okay. This is again, okay, in ELT, there is no rigid answer to anything. So I'm just adding my opinion.
Of course.
I'm adding my knowledge of what my tutors told me, the papers that I've read, because it's always changing. But in my opinion, authentic materials are a must. It's a good supplement to course books. Because when I open, have you watched Adele's Carpool Karaoke with James Corden? You know, there's Adele singing, and then she speaks in her, because she's British English.
Yeah.
She uses very authentic language,
yes.
British expression. So once I opened it to my class, like I think it's like a 10-minute video of Adele speaking, they loved it because there were expressions they never heard before. They loved the accent, the way she spoke. I opened Jamie Oliver. He's a very famous chef.
I know that.
And he uses like British English so well, and students loved it. TED Talks, BBC articles. I mean, these are so important because you can't find this in course books.
Definitely.
You cannot find this in course books. So it's, again, the teacher's choice on how to use them and how much to use them. It's the teacher's decision.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Serena, for these suggestions and ideas about using authentic materials in language classrooms. So thank you very much. So my next question is, like, what does classroom management in a language class mean to you? This is a very important topic for us, for all the teachers, but what is your idea about it?
Yeah. Okay, classroom management. For me, if I was in a physical classroom, the most important thing that I was taught at my CELTA was the seating arrangement. Because you need to know your students well. You need to know the confident learners. You need to know the weak learners. You can't be pairing two very confident learners or two very weak learners. They need to be contributing to each other. So first of all, if it was a physical classroom, seating arrangement is very important.
I see.
Because they're going to be doing pair work. They're going to be doing group work. So having good classroom management means you have a good knowledge of the students' levels and abilities, and you have a good seating arrangement.
Yes. That's
Secondly, of course, you need to have a very strong rapport with the classroom. The students need to feel comfortable with you. You need to have a very strong communication with them. I mean, they have to look forward to your lesson.
You're right.
This is the best way you can manage a class. If they're enjoying it, they'll be the best students ever.
It's great fun. You are right. You're right. And especially you mentioned about the seating arrangement is really important for the classroom management. You have mentioned about it, and also the rapport. That's also one of my the best part for classroom management. Having a good rapport with the classroom, it's really important for teachers and also for students. As you mentioned, that if you have a really good feelings with the students, and you have a really have a great classroom management during the lesson, so your job becomes very easy, as you mentioned. Would you like to add more about it?
Basically, there's no perfect teacher, there's no perfect lesson. As long as the student is happy and enjoying the journey of English language learning, you've done your job, to be honest.
I see. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you about it. You're right. I mean, like, and also I always say this one, and I really like it. Students doesn't need a perfect teacher. They need a happy teacher and having a good relationship with the students. That's what I always support. That's really great, that thing for me. Yes, there is another thing here, Serena. And Sarah Dogan, she's asking, Serena, you are the best. I learned so many useful insights about English from you. Cannot thank you enough. Great to hear this.
I'm actually shocked. My students are watching this live.
Great. It's great that they watch it. It's great. Thank you for them. And what about the next question? So let's look at it. Oh, okay, this is really interesting. I really wonder what are you going to say about it. Like, Serena, if you could have one superpower to use in the classroom, what would it be and how would it help you?
Okay, firstly, I must say, on Teachers' Day, I always share this quote. It says, I am a teacher, what's your superpower? Because being a teacher is being a superhero.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose a superpower as a teacher, I would choose like the perfect resources in one website, and I could just click the website and I can find the perfect lesson, and I don't have to be planning and looking for different websites, different course books. So like the ideal situation, there would be this website with authentic text, course books, videos. It'll make my life so much easier.
Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, definitely they need that. The website, that superpower, having a great ability to find the perfect course at the
Anything
same
that
time.
you want. Yeah, definitely.
It's great. Thank you, Serena. And what about the most challenging issue in education today? What do you think is the most challenging issue in education today?
Okay, let me talk about education in general, because I think this is education in general.
Yes, of course.
Of course, standardized tests and standardized education system, which tries to fit everybody in one size, is not the way forward. Okay, there's a quote. There's a very famous quote. The quote is this: everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will think it's stupid for the rest of its life, because you're judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
I see. It's a wonderful
and
quote.
This quote, however, this quote on the internet, it says that Einstein quoted this quote, but this is not Einstein. Einstein is actually opposing this, because this quote says everybody is genius. This makes people think everybody should be genius. No, not everyone should be genius. Not everyone should think they're very good at something.
Yeah.
Einstein argues that schools must teach critical thinking, independent thinking, critical analysis. Not everyone needs to be a genius, but everyone needs to know how to think and work independently. Critical thinking is so important, but in schools, unfortunately, it's just standardized tests for everybody, and it's not bespoke. It's not specialized for each learner, basically. So this is,
I see.
This is the biggest challenge.
Challenging one. Thank you very much about that point. There is another comment here, which is motivation and engagement also are so challenging factors in our classes. Azra says motivation and engagement also are so challenging factors in our classes, she says. Thank you, Ezra.
I wonder which age group she's talking about, because it differs.
I see. So maybe Ezra, you can probably you can write here, Ezra, about that one, the age group of your students here.
Because the new generation is a smartphone generation, so it's very hard to get them engaged. But if you're a good teacher, you can definitely get them engaged with like social media. You can tell them to write an Instagram post and use a certain structure. So you can make your lessons more creative by arising their interest in what they're interested in, basically.
Well, she said adult levels.
So which age range exactly? Because it changes from age to age. For example, my mum,
university
if
students.
She was learning, university students, you got to find what arises their interest, what attracts their attention.
I see. Thank you, Serena. Okay, thank you, Serena. So let's look at the next question. And my next question is about, again, what do you love the most about teaching?
I think it's the most rewarding job in the whole world, because I can't see any job where at the end of the term, students run to you, they buy you chocolate, they buy you flowers, but that's not important. What's important is they come and say, thank you for teaching me something. Thank you for contributing to my progress. And the feeling, the satisfaction of that, it just keeps me going.
Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, that's also a really good point about it. Yeah, to see that also it's really make you happy about it. Seeing the progress of the students, it's really great. Thank you. Thank you about it. And Marcelo Abata says she is the best. She says, I think that one of your students again. And Azra says, thank you so much, dear Serena. And thank you, Azra. And also, there's all.
You're very welcome.
All right. So I would like to talk about a little bit the trends, the learning trends. So which learning trend capture your attention the most and why? For example, mobile learning, project-based learning, content-based learning, or game-based learning, etc.
Okay, first of all, when we say trends, I want to think about, we're talking about the current methods that I'm using. Like, if it's the trend, it's the methods that you're adopting, basically. Okay, there are so many ways of teaching English. There are so many methods. And I think a good teacher is the one who uses a variety of them, not just one of them. So not just stuck in one model. But of course, during my CELTA, we were always told communicative approach, communication. So whatever enables communication, just use that method. Whatever works with your students, use that method.
I see.
As long as it's creative, as long as it's helping the students.
You can use it. So, I mean, like, don't just use only one that thing, not just one learning trends. I mean, like you mentioned it.
Gamification, you can use it, and you can also use another task-based learning at the same time. There are so many types of different. I really recommend Scott Thornbury.
Yeah, he's a great one.
He has great talks on methods of teaching. There are so many methods that you can adapt. So you don't have to stick to one. You can use all of them depending on the context.
I see. Thank you, Serena. There's also another, there's a question here from Sarah Dogan. How does it feel to be a teacher in these times? How can you keep that connection with your students in COVID era? And, she is asking 3 questions, by the way. And productivity are really decreased. So how can you keep your students as motivated? 3 great questions. Thank you, Sarah.
Well, I forgot the first question.
Okay, the first question is, how does it feel to be a teacher in these times?
To be honest, I really prefer the physical. I really feel the physical. I really miss the physical interaction, of course. Being in a class of multinational students, one from Italy, one from Greece, you learn about their culture. It was amazing. But of course, we need to adapt to this. As I said, humor, so being humorous, is what helps me to get through everything. So maybe just like a funny background. Sometimes I have like a funny background. Like I'm on the beach, for example, and it really, like, humor really helps motivation.
I see.
Or like singing a song at the beginning of the lesson or at the end of the lesson. Just really, like, humorous stuff really helps me to get their motivation.
Okay, great. Thank you. And the next one is, how can you keep that connection with your students in COVID era?
So that's really similar to the first question, I guess.
Similar.
Sorry, what was? How does it feel to be a teacher? It feels really distant. It's really different from the physical classroom. But it is what it is. We need to adapt to this. How can you keep the connection? As I said, humor.
Yeah, you are right.
Building good rapport with the student. These are all good qualities. Productivity has really decreased. So how can you keep your students as motivated? Of course, you need to know your students well to know how you can motivate them. If my student hates football, I'm not going to do a lesson
about football.
So whatever their interests are, just try to make the lessons engaging and fun as possible.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like in these times that you mentioned, that sometimes it's really difficult to keep their attention to the lesson, and so finding a very common topic that all the students like it, you need to really search about it. You need to really know your students, I mean, like expectations from that lessons and from you also.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Serena. So time really flies, and just a couple questions left, by the way. It's a great one. It's really great talk with you, Sarah. So what about great. So next question is about the web pages. Like, we are all looking for, different and useful web pages for our lessons, and also search which web pages is good for us, which is useful for us, or teachers, or my students. So what are your favorite 3, or you can say more than 3 websites to suggest to use for teaching, or for teachers to use?
Okay, everyone knows about BBC Learning English. British Council has great lesson plans, great authentic use of English in their audios. I love British Council lesson plans. Lingua House. Lingua House is an amazing website. You need to pay an annual fee if you want to be a member, but they have amazing lesson plans, and they have new lesson plans all the time, especially business English.
I see.
I have business English students, and they have very good lessons on that. And it's all recent topics. So the coronavirus, working from home. So it's very relevant. So Lingua House, British Council, BBC Learning English, TED Ed.
Yeah.
There's a website, TED Ed. But also for teachers, for your professional development, I need to recommend these YouTube channels. So ELT Training is an amazing YouTube channel, because I always watch stuff to remind me of my CELTA.
I see.
John Hughes is amazing. Martin Sketchley, Charlie's Lessons. There's also a podcast.
There's also a lot important
podcast. I actually took notes here.
Yes, so you share with us.
There's 3 podcasts that I will really recommend to you that I love. The first one is ELTCPD.
Okay.
It's very good, by Billy Jargo. It's on Spotify. This is the first one. The second one, Well Versed, Learn English Through Poetry.
Wonderful.
And this is by Daniel Ranson on Spotify. So he's reading poems and analyzing poems.
Great.
For English learners.
Great.
I love it. And the last one is Everything EFL. This is also a Spotify podcast by Erin O'Brien. I will write all of these below because these are amazing.
It's great. And I was going to ask you about it, if you can write them to me after the session, so I can share these great pages with our listeners.
I have 10 pages, to share.
Great.
They're amazing.
Wonderful. I'm going to, they expect to have you from you. Thank you, Serena. So there is another question here. Let me look at here. It's about from Marcelo Abata. Marcelo asks,
my student.
Do you think the pandemic is helping teaching or improving teaching in this digital age?
Okay, so basically my master's degree, the name was Digital Media, Culture and Education. And when I was doing my master's, I used to think to myself, will I ever need to use digital technology so much? Because I prefer physical worksheets or like games. But now I think it's really needed. We need to adapt to this digital era, and we all need to be tech savvy. So we need to use, we need to know how to use Zoom. We need to know how to use Padlet. We need to know how to use Quizlet, Kahoot. So I think it's really helped, and it's a good thing.
I see. It's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Serena. Thank you. And Nilgün asks, is it possible if Serena lists them all and you share them on your page, Volkan? Yes, she will send me and then I will share it, and also she can share it on her page too. I will share them. Okay, Nilgün. Thank you. And
yeah.
Ready for the last question. I have the last question, and which is really the most difficult question. Ready for it, Serena?
I'm so ready, but it just flew by so quick.
Yeah, I really didn't understand how time passed, but really, the conversation, the time, I really, as you mentioned, that I didn't understand how it flies. Really, it goes so quickly. So it's wonderful. And there is another question about it. Before I ask my question, let's look at this one. So, dear Serena, how about free online assessment pages? Can you introduce some online assessment tools to us also?
To be honest, I haven't tried any online assessment, but I'd be very happy to share them once I research myself, because I usually just check myself.
Okay. All right.
Because I only do private classes. I don't have a group class right now. But I will definitely have a look and let you know.
Okay. Thank you, Serena. And Nilgün says, pandemic and getting digitalized increased teacher autonomy. We are much more flexible now. Yeah, I agree about it.
Yeah, we are more flexible, but I really miss physical interaction. I really miss it.
Great. And please make this talk more regular. It's great to listen indeed. Nice to meet. Yeah, we as a teacher talk every Monday at 9 o'clock. We are here, and you can come and join us every Monday with a different educator, just like Serena. She was with us tonight. Okay, here's the last question, Serena. What is your motto?
My motto has always been, not one size fits all.
Very nice.
So remember, you can't expect the same thing from every student. You can't expect them all to understand at the same time. So make your lessons bespoke, personalized. Differentiation is so important. Differentiation.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's
not
a really
one
important
size
point.
fits all.
Differentiation is a very important point. You mentioned that.
Because there are mixed ability classrooms. Even though they're the same level, it can be a B1 class, but there's going to be early finishers. There's going to be very late finishers. So you need to adapt your teaching. You need to be flexible, differentiate. But so not one size fits all, remember. Yeah, it's a great motto. I really like it. It's great. Thank you, Serena. Okay, Serena. You're very welcome. And actually, I don't want to finish our session, but that's all the questions that we have answered. And would you like to add anything else before finishing our live sessions, Serena? Yeah, I just want to say, as a teacher, you always learn something new. So don't forget your professional development, and always try to attend seminars, workshops, online conferences, events, because it's just professional development. As teachers, we need to adapt every day, because just like students, we're lifelong students ourselves. So don't forget, for your professional development, try to attend more seminars, conferences, events. You can sign up to EFL Association. That's also a great association. Teachers. Yeah. Just be a member of these things. Become a member of these brilliant associations. Yeah, they really help to us to improve in education area. Thank you very much, Serena. Definitely. Thank you, Serena. And I would like to say one more time, thank you to being with us tonight. And it was really great session with you. And thank you very much for your great suggestions, for your great ideas, and to us tonight. My pleasure. And also, I would like to say thank you to our listeners. They were here with us and they had a chance to listen to you. It's really nice for them to listen to you. And I would like to say that maybe the next time in different sessions we can come together again
and we can talk different topics. Of course, if you want, Serena. It was really great.
Maybe you could be my guest next time.
Yeah, why not? We can talk about it. That's also
okay.
great. And that's all for tonight. And Serena Dogan was with us here with Teacher Talks 51st. And we are going to be here, you know it, and every Monday on the same day, at the same time. We are going to be here with a different educator from different part of the world. So I would like to say take care of yourselves and
you too.
see
Thank
you
so much.
next time, and peace everybody. Bye bye. Bye bye, Serena. Yeah, stay safe. Bye. Great.